Right, Mr. Nick. It's nice to snuggle. Okay, fine. But guys, today we decided to come together and talk about an issue which you go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, no, it's just something that's been bugging me for a while, which is currency and getting euros from whichever currency domain you're coming from. Because we've seen a lot of bad cases of people losing a lot of money in transfers, and really, regardless of where you are in your journey and what you're doing, currency is a massive part of it.
It is, you're right, and it's like, it hurts me to see people losing money. It really does, when we actually know a better way. And everyone's, I think it's pretty traditional you've been with a bank for 30, 40 years, you trust them, and then they give you just go through your bank, right? And you get a rate. And we realize that that's actually not the most efficient way to do money transfers. And yeah, we wanted to jump on here because obviously if you're watching this video, you're interested in moving to Portugal. You're interested in trying to get the most bang for your buck.
But I think the important part is regardless of whether you are coming to Portugal or not, this can be used for any currency, or these companies can be used for any currency
around the world.
Around the world. Yeah. So even if you never come here, it's a handy tool to have to save money on wherever you're going. But it's a really important thing to have, basically.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple. We've been working with a company called Currencies Direct for a while. And we found the service really, really, we both signed up to it personally. We've signed up as a business as well. And the actual process of getting online with this thing is really, really simple. And that's vital for me because I used to build websites, and, usability experience is so important. You don't want to have, it just erodes all confidence when you don't have a decent user experience on the website. And to be honest, I just signed it up and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, generally banks, depending on where you are in your journey, you either know the pains or not of setting up a Portuguese bank account. But, there's still, I come from the UK and it's still ridiculously clunky. The old legacy banks that aren't set up the same. I'm sure it's the same, in the States, and all the new tech that's coming around from the challenger banks and all the stuff underneath and Currencies Direct operate that. It's a very quick system. I've done it and it took me 5 minutes. My account is under review, and they're just checking my legal data. But outside of that, it was 5 minutes to just fill all that out, which is
you just fill the forms out. You take a few photographs with your webcam or your phone
on an app.
On an app, yeah. And you can also just upload or take a picture of your identification documents, and then, like you said, they're going away and then they're just reviewing you and doing their due diligence and making sure you aren't doing anything funky.
Because ultimately, everybody's in that journey, right? If you are coming to Portugal, you're going to be booking your travel. You're going to be coming over here. You're going to need money to spend. So as I say, instead of running around with your credit card or your bank card from back home, which is going to give you horrendous rates, you can use, they actually provide a card you can get as well, but you can use, you can transfer stuff. Even once you've set up a bank account here, you can do the transfers online and then move the money into that account. Just making sure you're getting the best rates, really.
And I think obviously it's important for two scenarios. Like just to reiterate what Nick was mentioning, like if you're coming here on holiday or you're going anywhere in Europe on holiday or anywhere around the world on holiday, you can still use this and take advantage of the much cheaper rates. And we'll talk about that in a second. Obviously the second scenario is if you are relocating to Portugal, and you're one of our clients and stuff, and you want to buy a house, you move this massive amount of money over here, it's going to save you a lot of money. If we're talking about moving over $500,000, it's going to be a massive shaving off the money savings.
Yeah, obviously it's a massive transaction. There's obviously the trust piece. These guys, regardless of what you do and what you and who you use, ensure that they're a big company. That's first and foremost. You're going to get some.
So one of the challenges. Sorry to interrupt. No. One of the challenges of having a big company like this one is that, they have an onboarding team, they have a sales team, and then they have trading teams and stuff. So you might be dealing with different people all down the road. But the nice thing is that if you come through us, we've got an account manager, called Susie, and she's fantastic. So she won't be doing everything as you go around because they're all specialists in their own sphere. But if you have a problem, you'll know who to call. And it's so, we've both got accounts at Revolut. If Revolut went away tomorrow, I'd have no idea who I would call.
No, and that is one of the problems with that one is that everything's an automated online system. So, if I was to suddenly receive 100,000, which would be great, into my bank account, the chances are they'd freeze the account until I could justify where it's from. I haven't got someone to speak to easily, and if you haven't done that planning ahead of time, and they might be asking for, salary slips or proof of transfer or whatever it may be, a deed, to show the deeds of your property that you've sold, and that's how you're doing it. You haven't got that person to speak to. So, sometimes in these moments, the stressful environments, especially if it comes down to, a last minute transfer, you don't want that sort of stuff. So, having that account manager to speak to, because ultimately with these companies, as I say, the currency director of this world, you have done the due diligence and KYC before. So they know who you are. They know, you can tell them what's been done, and there'll be no barriers to move, which, trust me, when that happens, when you're trying to sign the CPCV or a deed and there's these blockers, it doesn't make anyone happy if we're having to wait weeks and, deals can be lost.
But and a small example, we had a client the other day, and she was a bit confused because all of a sudden she started getting these strange phone calls from numbers that she didn't know. And it was all to do with her bank transfer. And that can be quite unsettling for a lot of people. Some people think it's a scam. You never know, with AI is coming out and all this weird stuff, especially when it comes to your money. You've got to be 100% sure. So it's really worthwhile having a human being to actually just call up and say, is this legit? And then they can say, yep.
Well, in that case, it was a complete sense check. Yeah. It was, she actually came to me and said, Nick, I've been having some problems.
What, you Nick or me Nick?
No, me Nick. Yeah, this Nick, not that Nick. And she basically said, I don't know, I keep getting these phone calls and I don't know who, if they're real or not. So, I just said, look, I'll speak to the account manager. I did. And, we basically ensured that, at this time that person was going to call and away it went. And, for someone that's moving, who's met perhaps later on in their years, moving life, the life savings amounts of money to be able to buy properties here, it's a big thing. And, it's a nice sort of service to have, to be able to reach out to that person.
But okay, so I did mention that we were going to talk about the savings in money, because now these figures are just generalized stuff that I've picked up on the internet, and it's borne out by your experience as well, is that banks will charge 2 to 3% over the transfer rate.
Yeah.
And then they also charge a transfer fee. And so we did an example with about $20,000 coming from the US to Portugal, and it worked out to be anywhere between $400 and $635 fee for the normal traditional banks.
Yeah, and we had a client do it. We had a client, Canadian client, send some money over for a reservation deposit. It was €5,000. And by the time it got back into their account, they essentially ended up having €4,000 because of the amount that they got charged there and the transfer fee coming back. Now, that was a unique scenario and it was happening very quickly or whatever, but it just highlights, how quickly these things can kind of add up. And especially when you start to move big money.
But just to try to showcase the difference, so what I was talking about was that $20,000 example. Spend anywhere between $400 and $600 on a normal bank. Those are the fees, and if you do it through Currencies direct, they generally charge a 1% fee or less than 1% sometimes, and no transfer fee. So that worked out to be like $200. So it's basically a lot, almost 3 times savings. So,
yeah, it's huge.
And obviously that's only $20,000. If it goes up, you're transferring 50,000, 100,000, whatever, then obviously you're going to bigger savings.
And the best part is that at the end of the day, you can prove it yourself. You can open the app, do it, which is not costing you anything to do. You can have a look at actually what it's going to cost you. They're pretty clear with their fees. So, you'll be able to see before you make the transfer, and have those calls to see and run the scenarios. By all means, I when I talk to people about this generally day to day on the phone, I'm like, look, get onto your bank home site. Don't take it from us. Ask them the question. Hey, I want to move 100,000 US, to Europe. What's it going to cost me? And then do the same thing with them and see the figures black and white for for yourselves. I mean, that's the best way to prove it.
So if you want to sign up, there's a link below here. You'll be able to link straight through directly, and you can sign up. Or if you want some hand holding through the process, just get in touch with us, algarvealex.com/contact, and we'll pick that up. But there was another thing that I wanted to discuss with you, was that there's something, when you get a little bit more technical about this, what did you call it? A floating dollar?
Dollar cost averaging.
A dollar cost averaging.
But I mean, we talk about this. I get these questions a fair amount. Of okay, when should I move my money? Largely for the process of buying. That's the big difference.
Buying a house. Obviously.
Buying a house, and ultimately, if you are 100% certain that you're going to be doing it, no one's a magician in terms of rate reading. Anything can happen. New presidents could arrive. Wars can carry on, continue, start, stop, whatever it may be, and it will obviously always have an impact. So when you're looking at a period of time, let's say the search is 6 months, then start buying little chunks. And what's great about companies where you can speak to brokers, you don't have to do that by yourself. You can kind of speak to them and say, hey, look, when it gets to this rate, give me a call and we'll do a transaction. And if you're buying bits over time, you're obviously averaging out a rate.
So you can actually set it and say, I'll do a transfer when it gets to this rate.
Yeah, if you're saying to the guys, you don't think it's fixed like that. But with the brokers, you're saying, okay, well, I want to move 500,000, and I want to get the best rates over 6 months. And you know what? Look at the rate today, tell me when it gets to this and I'll move X. Obviously, if it blows past that, you can buy more, but it's just having someone that's consciously on your side to ring you up and say, hey, the rate's moved to this, I can get you the rate you wanted. Brilliant. Execute the trade and away you go.
Because obviously these guys are specialists in Forex, whereas banks are not always specialists in Forex. Yeah.
But it goes back to, again, I had another client that was buying and they hadn't moved the money at that point, and every day we delayed the deed for whatever reason, it was yo-yoing, and we were talking $1,000 to $2,000 every time, every day as the rate moved, which is don't care who you are, is good money, and is a lot of money. So not everyone, if you've got things tied in investments, of course it's not quite as linear as that, but there is this thing of buying a little bit over time just in case it does dip, if it rises, etc., and you're buying at different stages, and hopefully by the end of it you've got a nice dollar cost averaged currency transaction purchase, and you're happy, rather than 6 months time doing the deed and just before you do it there's a world crisis and something drops out, and you're then probably not going to be able to afford the property anymore, or it might have cost you 50 grand more just for some crazy movement.
And like we said in the beginning, even if you're not buying a house, if you're just traveling around, just go and get one of these cards, because you'll save big time in the long run, and it's easy, it's free. That's a nice thing. It's free. You get these cards, just and I'm pretty sure you can stick it in your Apple phone wallet, can't you? Instead of
I imagine so. We haven't tested that. No, we'll come back to you on that one. But it is just that, it's holiday spent. Just it doesn't matter where you go in Europe. Then if it's euros you're moving, you can use the card around. And that's the beauty of it's the beauty of it. And there's no point in wasting any more money. We obviously speak to clients all the time and know the expense of flying over, staying for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it may be. And then not being prepared on the currency front, it can all rack up. So
I was just recently in Tanzania, in Zanzibar on holiday, and I just remember being on a street corner at a dodgy multi-bank ATM, and there's all these shillings, the Tanzanian shillings come out, and I was thinking, my gosh, I've paid so much money for those in transaction fees. It was crazy.
Yeah, because you're using your bank at the time, and they're doing it there and then. Whereas having that card that's already got it in euros because you've done the transaction, and you're just spending what you've already converted, which is the best way to do it. I learned the hard way personally as well. Accepting currency exchanges using an English card,
and that's why we're doing this video for you, so you don't have to do it the hard way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want, you can sign up doing the link below, and. Or you can just get in touch with us and we'll help you out, and we'll introduce you to Susie, and then you can take it from there.
Perfect.
Correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about currency?
No.
Yes, there is one thing actually. Sorry, there's a caveat, because not all 52 US states. Is it 50?
50.
Sorry, 50. I was talking about.
Well, 51st if Trump pulls in Canada, but
let's not talk about
that. Let's
not. Okay, so in all it doesn't actually. It's not applicable in all states.
No.
At this stage, they are working very hard to get it done. But we do have a backup plan for you as well with another company. So if you can't get those states done, but pretty soon they will have coverage all over the US. But just a little proviso, your state might not count. Okay.
But that's fine, as I say, because the other company provides a very similar service. They don't actually have the card, but in terms of the big transactional stuff, or getting money to your Portuguese account if you've already got it, is great. And look, we had a good call with them today, actually, just to chat about what they've got in the future pipeline, and there's some really exciting stuff coming. I don't want to allude to it too much now, just in case, because we don't control that bit. But for those that are looking to make the journey to Portugal, it will make life and obtaining visas, etc., a lot easier. So watch this space, and we'll do another video when we can on that.
Yeah, and just talking about videos, we want to try and do these things every single Wednesday. Just little bits of interesting facts about life in Portugal, about things that can save you money, things that can help you relocate, and also just stuff about Portugal. So if you have any burning questions and issues and things like that, just drop them in the comments, and we'll try and answer them next week.
Yeah. Do we know what we're doing next week, or
not yet? No.
Okay. I mean, I want to do a bit of a cultural piece, so maybe we
let's
can
do that.
on that.
Well, you can run with this. Man.
Okay, fine. Well, next week we'll do some culture, something on culture. Because obviously, something that's becoming more apparent to us when we talk to our, you guys as you come over is obviously things aren't the same. And sometimes we take it for granted on the ground and perhaps don't realize quite how big the move is, and that can be anywhere from going to the supermarket and shopping, how the police operate, all these little bits that are completely different, on the other side of the world. So we'll do something next week on culture, and again, if there's any other topics you want covered or you've got questions on, we can do it. And I think we're also planning to do a live one soon. Yeah. So just to give you the heads up, we'll send some information out, and we'd love to field questions live. We did it previously before. I think it was actually quite successful. So yeah. Great.
All right, well, have a fantastic week. We'll see you on Sunday at 2:00 when I'm going to release a video.
Ooh, what's that about?
It's
I've
got some serious work to do before then.
Put you on the spot there, brother.
No, it's going to be our trip through Nazaré.
Okay.
And it might be quite a short one, but it's still Nazaré, which is where all the big waves happen. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. Catch us then. All right, we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Or Sunday. Bye. AlgarveAddicts.com. We'll see you next week, but if you need any help relocating to the Algarve, click through to our website, AlgarveAddicts.com. We offer tours, immigration assistance, long-term rentals, and we can buy you a house.